join us today, so we can get started. She sent them around a few documents, more than a few documents. She was busy.
Chris, do you know that I think we sent the minutes out from the previous meeting?
We did. I was
Right.
just about to get to that. So she sent out the agenda. So the first agenda item is a call to order and introductions. We'll begin the meeting at 11:03. Gunnar, if you can take minutes for us. So quick introductions. I think there's some new faces on the call here today, so we can do that. I'm Chris Saccaroli. I'm from DDS, and I'm the co-chair. And I'll just call people out if they can introduce themselves. Gunnar, would you like to go next?
Sure, Chris. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Gunnar Abrahamson. I'm the Commissioner's Executive Secretary. Great to see all of you.
Betsy?
Betsy Bella Deloitte. I'm with the STEP support team.
Lauren?
Hi, everyone. I work at DDS and in a communications manager function.
Marina?
Hey there, Marina Derman, parent of 2 young adults with autism and IDD.
Thank you. Peter?
Peter Mason, retiree who's overseeing the ARPA project.
Maura?
Hi, Maura Fitzgerald from McDowell Communications Group. We're doing the STEP communications.
Great. Julia?
Morning, everyone. Julia Oak from Deloitte, also part of the STEP support team.
Great. Pam?
Good morning, everyone. I am Pam Hatcher. I'm also part of the Deloitte STEP support team.
And Pam, I think this is your first time attending this meeting?
It is. I was going to say the same thing. Yes. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Welcome. Yana?
Hi, I'm Yana. I'm a DDS Self Advocate Coordinator in the North Region, East Hartford.
Rebecca?
Hi, Becca Brockway, McDowell Communications Group.
Great. And last but not least, Wayne.
Good morning, Wayne Seidel, Director of Case Management.
Great. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes that went out from our last meeting? Any issues with the minutes that went out for the committee members? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the minutes? Committee members?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Anybody wish to second that?
I'll second.
Anyone opposed? So moved. Thank you. Get rid of that. All right, we'll move on to the second agenda item, topics for discussion. First up is Peter with ARPA updates and overview, please.
Yeah, I think we have our 2 consultants here, so they'll probably do most of the updating and stuff. One of the things I did want to update is that we do have, we ran into an issue with our Rewarding Work website, and its employment network website for individuals who self-hire their own staff. That was an IT problem that got resolved. So the new website should be up and running by the end of this month. We're also working on the final stages of a larger request for proposal that would then allow DSS, who have a number of people who also self-hire. So we would do one that would be a joint operation between DSS and DDS. That should be going on somewhere around July. And the big piece to this is that we're looking to see if we can get a backup emergency staffing component to it. So those individuals who self-hire and then run into an issue, we're looking if we can come up with an emergency backup system that would help them maintain supports for their individual. Let's see, I think that was the big piece I wanted just to update on. The rest of it's all going to be through our consultants.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Peter? We'll move on to a communication planning update by McDowell.
Hi, this is Maura Fitzgerald from McDowell Communications Group. I have just a few things to update you all on. And again, just want to preface that anything that we're working on that is going to be going out to individuals and families, the plan is to have that go first to DDS staff and providers before it goes out to individuals and families, so that staff and providers and the people that are the kind of the touch point for DDS individuals know the information that the individuals are going to be getting before they have it, so that when people come to them with questions, they know what they're talking about and what they're asking about. So with that in mind, we are working right now on a flyer that should be coming out at the end of April that has a message from the commissioner, kind of gives very brief descriptions of the 7 main supports that are part of the STEP system, and then lists the forums that will be held in the month, that are going to be held in the month of May, what the topics are and how to register for those forums. So that will be going out via email and then via mail to individuals and families, hopefully before the start of May, at the end of April. We are also currently working on a June newsletter that will go out before the middle of June. And that is going to be a more fulsome newsletter with some updates and different things. And again, those will go to DDS staff and providers before they go out to individuals and families. And then the next newsletter after that is going to go out in September rather than August, just because of the summer. We are working with DDS staff on putting together a series of one-pagers on the 7 main supports that are in STEP. So community companion homes, remote supports, self-direction, supportive housing, individualized home supports, assistive technology, and employment services. So they are literally 1 page, just brief explanations of what each of those services are, what the benefits are, what potential challenges are, how they're staffed, and where people can get more information on these services. So those are being worked on right now. We are also working on a more general STEP 1-pager to explain what STEP is. So to kind of complement everything that was in the March newsletter that explained STEP, but something that can be a handout or that people can just access on the website. So these 7 1-pagers are going to correspond with 7 videos that we are also in the process of producing. Today, we have a DDS staff member that is going to be in studio at the production company, just doing a little bit of filming on community companion homes, and then also filming an introduction and an outroduction that will go on each of the videos. Once that is done, we will have 5 videos that will be in post-production, and we should be finding out soon when those will be ready for DDS review. And then we're working on the last 2 videos, which will be on self-direction and employment, self-direction, we have some individuals who are willing to participate, and we're just going to be working, I think, on scheduling and logistics. And then employment, we're still trying to kind of nail down who might be willing to participate in that, and then, see where it goes from there. So right now, the plan is to have these forums with the commissioner and the deputy commissioner in the month of May, that kind of talk about the various types of supports. And then in the month of June is when these videos will roll out, along with their companion one-pagers. So if someone watches the video and they want more information, they can get it from the one-pager. If someone looks at the one-pager and they want to watch the video, they can watch the video. So they go hand in hand, but they're also separate. And case managers and other frontline staff for DDS will be able to use both the videos and the one-pager, as they're talking to people in their caseloads, to say, hey, you might be interested in this service. Here's a short video that you can watch, and here's a handout with some information on what that service is. So those are kind of the thoughts, and we're working on the plan for how exactly all of that will roll out, but it will roll out in the month of June. Finally, we have a website developer that is working with us to build a STEP web page that will go on the DDS website, but it will be its own page, and it will be laid out a little bit differently at the moment from how the DDS website looks right now. It will be a little more kind of button and picture focused, so it'll be easier for people to kind of find things and access them on that website. So that is under construction right now. And then also we're hoping to kind of ramp up DDS's social media activity around steps, so people who are following DDS on social media can get information on STEP and the various things that are going on through that as well. So that's what we have going on right now. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
This is Wayne Seidel, DDS. I have a question. You may have said this and I may have missed it. The timeline on those 7 videos and flyers, I heard you say that 5 were just about ready to move forward.
This is Maura Fitzgerald from McDowell Communications Group. 5 they're not ready to move forward yet. They're like, we will have all of the elements for all of them filmed after this afternoon. They're already in post-production, so I'm hoping that it won't be too much longer after today that they'll be able to just kind of add in what they got today. They had to do a little bit of filming yesterday down at Midstate, so that will be added in. But the videos are coming along, and I'm actually headed over to the studio after this meeting, so hopefully I'll have a better sense for when we will have videos to review and edit. But the plan right now is for them to publicly roll out in the month of June. So we have a little bit of time, and we will get the kind of timeline for how those are going to roll out and how it all is going to happen to this committee, and for you to get to the case managers and everyone else before that all happens in June.
Wayne Seidel, DDS. Very cool.
Maura Fitzgerald from McDowell Communications Group. Thanks, Wayne.
Chris Seckerly from DDS. Any other questions for Maura? Maura, thank you for your presentation. A lot of exciting things going on, and really starting to see the ball move, and excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now move it over to Deloitte for transformational planning updates.
Thank you, Chris. This is Betsy Bella with Deloitte. We've got sort of an overarching update, and then we want to dive into those educational materials and info sessions a little bit more with you all. So on the broader update, we have a draft version of the DDS step plan. You might have heard us refer to this as sort of an option summary or the transformational model before. Now we're going with the simpler, easier to understand and digest step plan. And so this is the piece that shows the different actions and items that DDS has decided to move forward to help support STEP and strengthen the process. We will be talking about those educational materials in a little bit. And then there's going to be informational sessions for providers and DDS staff. We are confirming some of the dates. They'll be save the dates sent out soon. The informational sessions are going to provide people more information around what is STEP and then what are some of the opportunities that they might see coming out of STEP, as well as how might it impact their day-to-day. So they're linked to the educational materials that you've seen. And then coming later down the pike then would also be there are separate training pieces which are getting more into that nitty-gritty, like for example, for providers, how do they actually do some of the strategic planning, create their templates, take advantage of this opportunity? And then for staff, you know, how do you review a plan? What might be changing in your work that you need to account for? On the informational sessions, they are really going to tie back into some of those STEP pieces. So hopefully you had a chance to look there. On them, there's going to be one for providers, one for, this is shifted recently, one for DDS leadership, one for case managers and resource management, and then one informational session for DDS staff writ large, to just make sure that there is, right, we've been hearing this message of making sure that messaging is for everyone, that everyone has the opportunity to receive it. And so that's the plan with the informational sessions, to make sure that folks have an understanding of what has happened so far, what's coming down the pike, and what can they expect. We are developing guidance materials. Now, the guidance materials are going to include a case manager FAQ. This builds on the individuals and families FAQ that some of the committees have been working on and contributing to, as well as some of the questions we've heard in our interactions with this group, as well as in the input sessions along the way. And so you will be seeing that, at least some of you, to get some of your input on and insights into, is it the right approach? Do we think it'll be useful? And that's, again, the document that is for case managers, but that they can also use with individuals and families. We are developing a one-pager with information on, for providers. It's probably gonna be more than one page, but the information on creative approaches, examples, and ideas, and then also guidance for them on how can they use STEP to push forward innovation, right? DDS is putting out this message of, we want to see creativity, we want to see blue sky thinking, but how do you make sure that providers understand that you mean it and know kind of the route for that to take place? There is a previously released moving on guide that has been updated to the step forward guide. It also includes information on the pending Appendix K additional incentives. And we'll be developing just an example filled out transition plan with budget sheet. From providers that participated in phase 1, they shared that it would have been really helpful to be able to look at an example as they were developing theirs, especially in terms of understanding approach, level of detail, what all they need to do. So those are some of our big updates. Does anyone have questions on any of those? Okay, so to what you really want to hear about, Julia's going to talk about those educational materials.
Great, and let me just share them on my screen. Just so, I see we have, it's Julia from Deloitte. I see we have a hand up. Any questions before we move on?
So I just want to make sure the material, this is Yana Rezunaya, DDS Advocate Coordinator. I just want to make sure that the material that's intended for our individuals and families are in plain language so that you can understand. And I have this, there's going to be a workshop on May 8th through the Autism Self-Advocacy Network. They're doing a workshop about a webinar for government and nonprofit agencies about how to write in plain language to make everything more accessible. And then on June 5th, there's going to be a workshop on easy read text. And I think it's really important that these things, that it's in plain language and easy read so that our individuals can be able to access it.
This is Julia from Deloitte. Thank you so much, Yana. And the materials we'll be going over just now will not be geared towards individuals and families, but I know that's definitely something we all have top of mind. So thank you for sharing those dates. All right, so just to get a sense from folks before we jump in, did anyone have a chance to look at the materials that were sent prior to the meeting, just so we can kind of calibrate? Okay, see some thumbs up, maybe a mix. Right. All right, so you all should be seeing the case manager, supervisor, and resource manager version up on my screen. Okay, I'll zoom in. So again, these were sent prior to the meeting, so feel free to pull up on your device if that's helpful, but we really wanted to get some input from the committee on sort of the messaging and content we have for these materials. These will be used as a supplement for the informational sessions that Betsy touched on earlier. And the purpose is really kind of to give high-level introduction to STEP, tailored for each of the 3 audiences, that folks can be sent ahead of time and then sort of have in their back pocket for additional information. And the way they're slightly different across the 3 versions, but in general, the way they're structured is the first page is sort of, what is STEP? How will this improve the lives of people we support? What's next? And then sort of tailored for the audience, the second page has some specific information. So for case managers, supervisors, and resource managers, this focuses on some of the outcomes for STEP. And you'll see here the rows sort of specific to how those positions may be impacted or sort of what their role will be. And then diving into a little bit more detail on the following page. So I guess to start, any initial reactions? Do folks want a minute or two to kind of skim through and read?
Hi, this is Chris Seccaroli, DDS. I did have 2 committee members share with me some of their thoughts on some of the products. So I'm hoping that they'll be willing to speak up. One of my first things that I just wanted to mention is for this particular document, I think it would be best to just say important information for case management and resource management, and therefore you're not excluding some supervisors. There's all different levels of people in resource management and case management. So I just think the generic terms, important information for case management and resource management might be better received.
Great. Yep, we can certainly make that switch. It's a little fewer words too, so I think that's nice too always.
I think Marina has her hand up.
Hey, so it's Marina Derman. I thought these were really good. And I passed on details. I just forwarded them on to Cress because most of my reactions were on the sort of copy editing level, so not worth taking time for. But I guess I wanted one bigger picture thought was I'm looking at the 5-step outcomes, and I'm wondering if there's any confusion between that and what Mara described as the 7 components of STEP. So if we're kind of creating a marketing thought, like what's the 5 things, what's the 7 things, is that going to create any confusion?
Great. This is Julia Oak from Deloitte. Thank you so much for flagging that. I think I'll chime in on the differences and then would welcome McDowell or Betsy to chime in. But my understanding of what McDowell's been working on is those are focused on services. So 7 different types of services and providing some more information around those specifically. These step outcomes, these are focused on what will be the step plan. This is, Betsy sort of mentioned at a high level, but this will be released once DDS leadership has sort of finalized a couple of details, but really sort of some of the actions and desired outcomes for STEP as it becomes a reality in the future.
This is Betsy Bella from Deloitte. Thank you, Julia. I would just also add, I think that there's a really important point to make sure we're not just referring to things by like numbers, right? And these are called outcomes, and maybe it's about finding some better clarity around, because the 7, I keep hearing them called by different names, and part of it is that one of them is self-direction, which isn't a service, but a service approach. And so figuring out kind of like what those are called and how we do differentiate, that's something we'll definitely keep in mind moving forward. Thank you.
Right, and my point is less that, you know the difference, but does the audience know the difference? And so, and will someone be confused? Will anyone be confused? So that's all.
Yeah, thank you so much for that feedback.
So I have a DDS Wayne Seidel. I have a few comments as well. First of all, I like it. All of these documents are great. I like the layout, everything else. A few comments, and I did send in some suggestions. I'm not going to go through all of them, or thoughts, I should say. I consider them to be thought bubbles as I'm reading through it, but some that I will highlight is the request for case management section on the 2nd page. We have a reference about updating the database. It's support and outreach to employers to create and update the database. I don't know what database we're referencing. I'm wondering if maybe case managers wouldn't either. And then also that same category 2 over, following guidance in re-emphasizing natural supports in planning. My suggestion is just not only re-emphasizing the natural supports, but re-emphasizing the development of new natural supports, community-based natural supports as well. Few suggestions. Just on the 3rd page, I was thinking that we should come up with different terminology than central office messaging. So maybe just thinking about that a little bit. And then with case management supervisors, 2nd bullet down, encouraging staff to reference 1-page information sheets, FAQs, and other materials. You've noted that we're talking about materials that will be provided in the future, but if we have any other materials currently, you've got people's attention right now. They're interested in what the materials are. Can we link what we have to that statement? It's just a suggestion or a thought.
Yep, this is Julia Oak from Deloitte, and I know we're definitely got a lot of things going in parallel, so where we're able to link to things that are existing, we'll certainly do so, and we'll get the links from DDS if it's on the internet, but yeah, I think that's a great point. You're muted, Chris, if you're...
Thank you. Hello, this is Chris from DDS. I, want to reinforce some of the things that that Wayne was talking about. One is, instead of saying central office, it might just be better to say from the department. And then again, even under resource management, it talks about the database. I'm not quite sure myself what database we're talking about. And then the 4th area under request for resource management, it says work with case managers and providers to account for natural supports and planning. I'm not sure how much resource management has to do with accounting for natural supports in planning. Resource managers aren't part of the planning process, and they're charged with overseeing paid supports, not natural supports. So, those are a couple things I wanted to note.
Thank you. Yeah, I know the resource management piece, since they do wear so many hats, that was one element that we really wanted your all's input on, because we are sort of struggling to figure out how to narrow down given the different roles they play.
DDS Wayne Seidel, I think, no, that's a great point, Chris, with the resource management piece. Perhaps an area for consideration is, as they are having quality meetings, just asking the question, how is an agency engaged in or helping to engage individuals in community-based activities, those areas where natural connections can actually be made. Just getting them, so it's a potential process way for resource management to be involved in the development of meaningful community-based relationships. I don't know the right way to word that, so I'll just put that out there. But if you're trying to figure out a way to fill in that box, that's a way.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. This is Juliet from Deloitte. So would it, just to make sure I'm tracking, sort of reframing as talking with the agencies to how they're doing that, would that kind of hit the mark? Or if you want to send thoughts offline too, that works.
Yeah, I don't know what the right way to do it. It's
Okay.
like a thought I'm developing, so
Cool.
I don't know the wording.
All right, we'll noodle on it and let us know if you think of anything. So all super helpful, and we'll since some of y'all sent comments offline, we'll obviously take that and take that into account as well. Any other comments or questions on this version?
Julia, this is Chris Eckerly from DDS. I don't have any comments or questions on this version. I did have a question for the group. We do have a guest speaker with us. We had told them that maybe they'd have time around 11:30. So I didn't know if we wanted to pause this portion and let them have maybe 15, 20 minutes of our time, and then we can come back to this portion of our agenda. How do people feel about that? Great, thank you. So this is actually under divisional updates. We do have a guest speaker, Patty Simbalta. Patty has recently been promoted to our assistive technology director for the entire department, and she is here to give us a thumbnail sketch of some assistive technology stuff, kind of like how we had a presenter last time on CCH. So Patty, if you'll introduce yourself, and then the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. I love talking about AT, so this is a great opportunity for me. So thank you. I saw that you guys were also talking about assistive technology in the document that you had up there. And so as you know, it weaves through every service that, that DDS offers, and it's a great thing. So I have been doing the ARPA assistive technology initiatives since it started. And in doing that, you're all familiar with what assistive technology is? Can I assume that? Okay, good. Excellent. I like to think of assistive technology basically as the tools that can turn an inability into a capability. I like to just sum it up with that. There's a very person-centered approach towards assistive technology and choosing that right device for an individual. And there should also be a family-centered approach as well, because there has to be buy-in from all stakeholders in order for the product to be used, to not be abandoned, and to be successful in the life of an individual. So I'm going to go over some of the initiatives that I've been doing, and there's quite a few. So I actually have to refer to them on a doc. There's actually 26 initiatives, and right now there's quite a few going on at the same time. We have an RFP out right now for
evaluations. We're looking for an entity, a company that can do 150 evaluations year one, and then another 150 year two. In addition to that, one of the initiatives that we have going on right now, we have 95 people within DDS signed up for it, and that is to take the assistive technology application certification professional. So that's a big one, because 117 people within DDS knowing exactly what assistive technology is will be extremely beneficial. If a case manager goes out and sees an individual, they might think of an assistive technology solution as opposed to maybe a more expensive solution, or a solution that isn't quite appropriate for the person. So 117 people would be quite a bit, and quite a bit of savings as well in that. The cost of that initiative, if all 117 people were to go out and do one evaluation, it saves the state $46,000. If they go out and do 5 each, that's $1 million. And more importantly, that individual gets what they need. That individual gets the assistive technology that they need to help them do a daily task that they might not be able to do without it. We did 2 notice of opportunities already, which 201 people benefited from individuals. It was quite a bit of money in those 2 notice of opportunities. One was for families and individuals. The other one was for providers. We now have the same 2 NOOs going on at the moment. And same thing, one is for individuals and families, and the other is for providers. We have 52 individuals and families have applied for one of them, and we are up to 15 providers that have applied for them. We also have a notice of opportunity out for customized employment through the use of assistive technology. Some examples of that, because technology is it's changed everything. So you don't need to have a brick and mortar place anymore to start a business. So with assistive technology, someone could start a dog walking business just with an app. You know, they could get a 3D printer, learn how to use it, create a product, and start selling it on Etsy or Amazon as a third-person distributor. They're just, the possibilities are endless as to what can be done in assistive technology. It just changes everything. AT&Me is a program that will be rolling out really soon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with AT&Me. AT&Me is you. Who said I am?
That's me, Yana.
Hey, Yana, how are you? Oh, Yana knows about it, because Yana actually did a great presentation for the curriculum. So there's a curriculum, and the curriculum is based on each of the products. So there will be a laptop, a iPhone, a headphones, wall charger, mouse, and hotspot. The hotspot and the cell phone will have a year of service on it when the individual receives it. We plan on doing is the first 200 people that receive a bag, it's a backpack as well. The computer backpack will have these products inside of it. When they receive this, they will learn how to use each of the products. The curriculum is specific to each product. Once they take the class, they then get to keep the bag, and then they in turn turn around and teach 2 other people. So we're hoping that will not only have them learn how to use the products, but also reinforce the lesson twice in teaching someone else. And these are all everyday products that everybody needs. It is just the products everybody uses to integrate into society, this digital society that we're all living in today. So we're really looking forward to that. We will be starting that soon. We're waiting for the products to come in. We are also having a conference June 22nd. We will be having an AT Innovation Conference. We have collaborated with DD Council and CT Tech Act for that conference. And in that conference, one of the rooms will just be for AT&Me. So all day, the classes will be going on all day. As soon as one ends, another one will start. And people will have to register for those ahead of time. So when they register for the actual conference, they'll also write in that they will be attending the AT&Me class. So that'll be getting a lot of AT out to people. So we're very, very excited about that. Let's see. We're working on increasing outreach for the self-advocate coordinators. self-advocate coordinators have done an amazing job. They, prior to COVID, they had 6,000 contacts that year prior to COVID. Now they are at 164,000 contacts a year. That is amazing. They hit the ground running when COVID started. They got virtual self-advocacy groups up and running quickly. They're still doing the virtual self-advocacy groups. And they've just done an amazing job, just like Yana just did on this presentation. Each of the slides that Yana created, so you have to think Yana created 47 slides. Each of them also has a voiceover on them. So when the individual turns around and teaches another individual, they don't have to, wake up that day and become a teacher. It's already there for them. And they have that PowerPoint as a point of reference as well. So thank you, Yana. You did an awesome job on that. So we're working on several things. One of the things that we noticed too with COVID was, and the DSOs and the GSEs, often the self-advocate coordinators would go out to these locations and have an advocacy meeting there. Advocacy groups that existed prior to COVID, many don't exist now. So that's an issue, and some of these places don't have the technology to do the virtual meetings. So one of the notice of opportunities we like to put out is for these agencies to be able to put in so that they can have this equipment there, so that we can increase the presence of self-advocates, because their role is going to be taking on different roles. They're going to be advocating also for the rights in technology as well. Their knowledge based on technology is going to be increasing as well. So we are really looking forward to that. We had our statewide meeting just recently, and all of the self-advocate coordinators are extremely excited about that. We've also been building the infrastructure throughout all of the respite centers, CLAs, and ICFs, and changing the internet connections to fiber optics so that we can prepare for the future and what's to come. That change, that's a $54,000 savings a year just in doing that change and getting ready for the technology that's coming. The respite centers, they have been equipped with assistive technology so that families can come in and see what assistive technology can do. But we'll be putting more devices into each of the respite centers soon. We're waiting for the equipment to come in, and we'll be putting in those devices. So we're excited about that as well. It's good exposure for staff and visitors to the tech trends that are available right now. So we're looking at lending libraries. So lending libraries is something that already exists. Crush, you're probably going to have to stop me because I could talk all day about assistive technology and I get really excited about it. So, okay, so if I go over, I know you guys have things to do, so please just tell me, okay, this enough is enough. But anyways, lending libraries. Right now, the Connecticut Tech Act has, lending libraries, and what they are is exactly that. They have providers that will have these lending libraries within their at a location, and someone can go and they can borrow a piece of assistive technology, and that's very helpful because I like to think of it as try it before you buy it. Product abandonment is a serious problem. And in order to avoid that, if someone can try the product and know that it works, or know that they're not going to use it, then they don't waste the time or the money on that. And they then can pursue what's really going to help them get whatever tasks they need to get done. The lending libraries that we're thinking of creating will be in addition to the ones that CT Tech acts, but they'll be a bit different because they're going to be lockers that are temperature controlled, and they'll be at different locations. What I did was I plotted out a map and plotted where all the lending libraries are right now, and realized where the outskirts of Connecticut don't have any. And for somebody who uses an iPad, and that is their main source of communication, if that iPad breaks, they can't communicate. So with this lending library and these lockers, which are temperature controlled, think of them as Amazon lockers that you see in apartment buildings or you see in stores. They will get a code, they will go to the locker, they will take out the device, borrow it, and then when they return it, same thing. They'll get a code and they'll return it. On a weekend, somebody doesn't have an iPad and they can't communicate. They could go to one of these locations and they could go to the locker, take an iPad, and use it until they can replace that product. So it avoids having to have a location manned all the time. These controlled lockers will give individuals and families the freedom to be able to get a device that they really need to borrow at the convenience and flexibility of their own time. So that's why I feel that that's very important. We're looking at virtual reality as well. Virtual reality is it's such a great training for, it's a perfect example of how assistive technology goes through all of the different services, because it can be used in travel safety, transportation training, pre-employment exploration, AT smart home. Instead of building a lot of different states, they're building these smart homes. Instead of building one, create a virtual one. Every time you have to remodel it, it doesn't cost that much money. Doing videos also for remote support services to simulate the exploration of that. The employment and work ones are key too. It's going to involve a lot of collaboration, because we're thinking of businesses, community businesses, different agencies, families, individuals, the employment division as well. We'll be working closely with them. But there's a lot that can be done with virtual reality. And the wonderful thing about it too is that a lot of times the individuals that we support are behind the trends of technology, which is why we're all here talking about this technology and why it is so important. In getting virtual reality, and now it'll actually put them ahead of a technology for once. So I'm really looking forward to that. So lending libraries, respite centers. I told you there was a lot to talk about. SAC outreach. Okay. We'll also be doing a summer tech camp. In the summer tech camp, what we plan on doing is having one of the locations, one of the cabins, to have assistive technology in it. And that will remain there throughout the summer. So when people stay there, they'll be able to experience remote supports firsthand. All the technology will allow them to communicate with their family or what have you, or the family communicate with them while they're staying in that cabin. Let's see. Customized employment, AT continue. Oh, did that too. One of the things that isn't one of the initiatives, because it wasn't just all about initiatives. I also was working on other things to try to develop this AT program. One of the things was we are part of the National Technology Consortium. So I represent Connecticut in that, and that's comprised of 23 states. And we now hold that site on our server, which is extremely important. So these 23 states, we have a meeting actually today. They go on to the SharePoint site, and it's used as a resource library. So instead of reinventing the wheel on a new service like remote supports, if other states have already done it, we talk once a month. We all get together. We talk about what works, what doesn't work, great ideas, innovative ideas that other states are doing. I just think it's such a great group to be a part of. It's such a great group to be a part of. We also have the ability to just contact anyone from the 23 states that are part of the consortium at any time, just like we do right here in this call. So there's that ease. It's not searching for that person who deals with money, or searching with that person that deals with policy. They're in the meeting usually, so I can just go on to Teams and just click on them and say, hi, how you doing? I often call Oklahoma and Ohio and other different states when I need to know something. So that's a really big plus. So there's more, but that's pretty much what's going on. That's what's happening right now, all at the same time, right now. Does anybody have any questions? I hope I didn't go too fast, or I hope I was clear.
Any questions for Patricia? This is Chris from DDS. Any questions for Patricia? No, well then,
I
Patricia,
will
thank
just
you.
say,
Oh.
I will just say that Patricia's been working really hard trying to get all this stuff together. And as you can see, the fruits of her labor are really starting to come through. So we're very fortunate to have her.
Thank you very much, Peter. And thank all of you for your time. I really appreciate it. You can reach me at any time. If you have any questions about assistive technology, please do. Okay, I'd love to talk to you. And thank you for this opportunity. You're muted, Chris.
Yeah, Patricia, thank you very much for joining us. And if we get any follow-up questions, we'll pass them along to you. Thank you.
Excellent. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. So I hope we found that informative, but we can go back over to the review of the documents.
Thank you, Chris. This is Julia Oak from Deloitte. And just so we can calibrate timing, is there other items on the agenda? Okay, great. We'll focus on, I can pull it up now, the DDS staff version. The remaining version is the provider one. So depending on timing, we'll go from there. All right. So again, a similar content is similar, it's just tailored a little bit to the audience. We have had some recent shifts in the info session. So the content on here likely won't change a lot. The info session itself might just be a little bit higher level for DDS leadership and staff. So I'll pause if there's any initial reactions or feedback folks would like to start off with.
Hi, this is Chris, DDS. One of the suggestions would be in the what's my role section, the very first box where it says executive regional directors and assistant regional directors. I would, again, maybe go to a more generalized statement of executive management team members. So we're not, it's not just up to the RDs and the ARDs, but it also would include other folks that sit on executive management team, like the SD directors and, health services directors and things like that. But, basically the entire regions trickle down from those people, and it might be good to just change the labeling of that section.
This is Julia Oak from Deloitte. Thank you so much. I think that's a great call out. And I do want to note other feedback we did receive recently is given the role of resource administrators at the regional level, they'll be reviewing the plans. We did get also feedback that it might be helpful to include them on here as well, since they do play such a pivotal role in kind of coordinating with providers, case management for the transition plan. So that's something we're tracking to as well.
So Wayneside LDDS, I had a few thoughts, a few comments. First, in regards to the Pratt steps that you have here, I think it's important. Again, I don't know how to word it, but my thought process is that Pratt really needs to have a good understanding. Those that sit on Pratt have to have a great understanding of all of these, all of the available options, so that they can be part of the consideration. If a request comes in and there is something else happening that is a perfect, like even addresses the request better than what is being suggested, just, that opportunity for Pratt to ask if it's been considered, or perhaps if there's funding not available. I don't know, I'm getting a little bit into the weeds, but just a way to articulate that thought, just to ensure that Pratt is aware of all of the options. Another thought that I have, and I don't know which section it fits best into, if it's quality and systems improvement or abuse and neglect division. But if Princess was here, I think she's been talking about this a little bit as well. And again, I don't have a great way to tell you that this should be worded, but just to ensure that throughout all of this, there is a way to articulate that the dignity of risk or value-based decision-making, as Commissioner Seth likes to put it, needs to be a consideration when taking these steps. I think it's one of the things that inhibits people from considering things that they don't know. That concern of, even on the provider end, I know a lot of providers are really concerned about being cited for things and stuff. So a lot, there are times where that prevents them from being open-minded to trying new things. And I think that goes for many in the system. So again, I don't know how to word that or put it into a bullet, but it needs to be a consideration, I believe.
Great. This is Julia Oak from Deloitte. Thank you. And those are great points. And I know sort of the concern about potentially being penalized or written up for something that's in a transition plan is something that's what's kind of contributed to some of the recent shifts we've had. So we're working with Peter, Keith, and Greg to start thinking through kind of what the best ways to let people know and sort of make sure everyone's kind of on the same page. So thank you for those comments. There any, I know we for the role piece kind of tried to call out, it obviously doesn't cover everyone, but we try to call out major sort of stakeholders. Are there any ones that are missing for this audience being, DDS leadership that you feel would be important to call out that may not be represented?
No, was it just in like? No, it wasn't large.
No, this is from BDS. I really like the two that we've reviewed so far, and I think they're short and concise. It needs some tweaking, and I think you've hit the we could go into every little category of employees and end up with a 6-pager, but I think this this touches a lot of the key folks.
Yeah, thank you. This is Julia Oak from Deloitte. I know it's something we're balancing as, include everyone. It can become super long, and we're trying to keep these sort of short and sweet. And then the info sessions themselves, since there'll be a live session that will be recorded, there's obviously a lot more opportunity to go into more detail as needed. So any other comments or things to consider folks would like to add before we move on to the provider one? All right. Pull up the provider one. So you should be seeing the provider version on my screen now. I think as folks are kind of skimming through, if there's anything in terms of messaging or things we've highlighted that you really like, think can be tweaked or changed, would love that input as well.
DDS, Wayne Seidel, it will not surprise you that I have a comment on this one as well.
Love it. We're ready.
I think this is great. I think this is really needed by providers. I think, you know, they've had some opportunities to learn more about this and how STEP can benefit them, but more opportunities, I think, or more ways to connect with them to get them to consider is important. Some of the feedback that I've heard, especially when talking about things like remote supports, providers say, you know, we don't have the time or the staff to get into something like that. And how do we help them understand that this could really help you to arrive at more time and better use of staff? So, you know, I was thinking about that with the box on the left and those quick check mark things, you know. I don't know if it's too small of a thing to add, but that was one of the benefits, you know, as their providers struggle with staffing challenges, you know, there are some of these STEP initiatives that can really assist them with that. So again, I don't know if it's worth putting in there, but it might be. So.
Great. Yeah, this is Julia Oak from Deloitte. And that's another reason, I think, to your point, Wayne, of sort of demonstrating all the different ways that STEP can help providers. We included kind of this at the end to sort of help folks understand, especially when they're making their plans. Like there's the STEP incentives, but there are other resources that DDS is providing and that can also be integrated and used to sort of enhance what they're planning on doing. So. Last call for comments live. Great, I'll take that as a no. So again, thank you all so much for your review. We'll still would welcome and love any comments offline, especially I think in terms of the messaging. You all, where you all sit, I think have a great pulse on what would be most appealing or resonate the most with these audiences. So we definitely welcome any recommendations and sort of reframing anything we have or bringing in different messaging. And yes, thank you. Betsy's put our team email in the chat. So feel free to email us directly there, or if it's better, I don't know, Cress, if you prefer to be funneled through you and Princess, but we're always available. We have our team monitoring that email daily, so.
This is Cress from DDS. No, I think it's great if people want to contact you directly. I would just ask that they CC us just so we can share with the rest of the committee members and things like that if need be. Julia, thank you for your presentation, and I'm excited about the 3 documents that we shared, and with a little bit of tweaking, I think again we're on the right path. So I'm excited. Divisional communication. When Patty was here talking about AT, that was the next part of our agenda. I didn't know if anybody here had anything that they wanted to share under this agenda item. I don't know if Wayne had anything that he wanted to share about any communications he's had with case management. I know I'm usually looped in on that stuff, but I didn't know if he had anything new.
I don't think there is anything new that I didn't share at the last meeting, our last meeting, other than at the statewide case management supervisor meeting last Friday. We just reviewed a few points. Most of them were review, trying to get a recording of the ARPA session that we did for case managers available for folks to be able to review afterwards. That's something that we're working on, and I think that's about it. Oh, and
this is Peter Mason. Just so you're knowing that Deloitte is putting together a draft of case manager FAQs. So once they took that from their informational sessions, forums and stuff. And so once they get that done, they'll probably send that off to you for you to take a look at. And your comments, as usual, will be welcomed.
Very good. No, thank you for the Wayneside LDDS. Thank you very much for that, Peter. I'll look forward to seeing that. And I think that'll be helpful. I think case managers will look forward to receiving that. The only other thing that I was going to mention is that case managers currently are working on just double checking the addresses that we have in our e-camera system to ensure addresses for individuals, legal guardians, all of that are up to date, so that when we do for future mailings, it gets to the right people. So there's a review going on for that, and that's it.
Wayne, one of the things that we talked about, it had to do with the newsletter, and I think Krista was going to have a conversation with you about somehow doing something on whether it's at the annual IP or somehow matching what's in cameras, so that we can try to keep up with the email addresses. So just be on a heads up for that so that we can figure out how that would work going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. That is part of the process currently. But certainly something we can take a look at.
All right, Chris Saccaroli. So any other divisional communications? Wayne and Peter, thank you for those updates. Under the next topic for discussion was action steps. Our action step for this past week was to review the 3 documents that we just did. I didn't know if we have any other action steps that we want to talk about. All right, not hearing any. We'll go on. Future agenda items. Thoughts from the committee? So then a question. So we've had a couple presenters lately that tie into the 7 areas that we're talking about. Is this committee feeling that that is something that they want to continue doing in this forum?
It's a quiet group.
Yes, it is. Well, if anybody has any suggestions or would rather talk offline, you can contact Princess and myself. Our next meeting is scheduled for May 3rd at 11 a.m. And want to thank everybody for their contributions, from our consultants and the committee members and the guests that have joined us today. Does anybody have anything further they'd like to discuss?
If you're interested, this is Yana, DDS Advocate. If this group have any interest from hearing from myself and my coworkers to learn more about what, answer all the questions and explain the stuff to the individuals. So if you're interested, and see if Varian or Paige or Kelly or Natasha or any one of the other, we could talk a little bit about what we do.
I think that would be very helpful.
This is Chris Saccaroli, DDS. Yana, I welcome your suggestion, and I think that would be really helpful for the consultants and for the committee members. So we'll add that as a suggestion for future actions in the minutes, and hopefully we'll reach out and see how we can coordinate that.
Okay, if you reach out to any of our supervisors, so in the northern region, it would be Kim Butts or Kate Jardin, or you can just reach out to Patricia, who is here. she can help set it up because she works.
Alrighty, we will do that.
I have to go. Line.
If there's nothing else, we can adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Peter Mason. I make a motion.
Any seconds?
I'll second that, Chris.
All right, does anybody have an objection? Then we will, motion is passed to adjourn the meeting. I want to thank everybody again and give you back 17 minutes of your day. Thank you.